everybody, this is Mike Michalkow, and I'm really excited to be here chatting with David Ward from Musicians on the Record. It's a real honor to be here today. I'm really happy to tell my story and answer any questions you have there, David. So whenever you're ready, hit it.
1, 2, 3, 4.
This is huge, musicians on the record. Bring it on.
Can you talk a little bit, Mike, about some of those, we're talking about mindset, we're talking about, just the keep going kind of thing, some of those challenges and obstacles you've had to overcome, and who were some of those people that really sort of lifted you when you were down, helped you get to be where you're at?
Interesting. It's funny because you got me thinking, like when you say down, I don't think there's been a lot of moments where I've let myself get down in this industry.
Okay.
Because I always found that music was a way to uplift me.
Right.
So whether it was even just playing or practicing or whatever. But no, I know what you're saying about the question. And the motivating factors came from mostly instructors.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Dom Famulero was a huge one.
Yeah.
Dom, I've known Dom for 22 years now.
Yeah.
And Dom and I, we can talk like we're old brothers, And Dom, there's a picture up on my studio wall. We can't see. Maybe I'll bring it down in a second here. But Jim Chapin and Dom Famulero. I mean, Jim was quite old when I studied with him, but the stories were unbelievable.
Yeah.
Mitch Dorge from Winnipeg, who's still out there. I just saw Mitch at the NAMM show. It's funny because Mitch went through that rock star world with the Crash Test Dummies, but you'd never think that because he's just so cool.
Yeah.
Reconnected with my first drum teacher, Norm St. Hilaire. And here's me sending my old teacher my DVDs and books. I mean, how weird is that?
Right.
But it's just the motivating factor and the smiles that people have put on my face and vice versa. I don't think who else would have been really impactful. But mostly those gentlemen, for sure.
Yeah.
But then you got family who supported. Like my mom, she was a huge supporter. She never once doubted or questioned what I was doing. You know what I mean? I mean, you can go through relationships, and I've been in relationships where the girl doesn't quite get it, or
Sure.
When are you going to make that $1 million record and all that kind of stuff. But my mom was like, you're happy.
Yeah.
This is all that matters, and you're not asking me for money every month.
Right.
So it makes her even happier.
Right.
But honestly, the people that I work with in this industry, to this day, the folks at Yamaha Canada and even Yamaha USA that I get to know. I mean, I could drop 10,000 names, but the people at Yamaha Canada, the people at Diodario, Pro Market Women's for me, they're just such great motivators. Another one is J.R. Robinson, like John Robinson, J.R. Robinson, because I worked with J.R. I was his drum tech for 6 years.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Happened purely by accident. But J.R. was fun. We had some really fun stories. We had some fun times. We toured a lot together. I got to play on some gigs with him where I was playing percussion, and I got to sing with him a couple of times.
Nice.
So J.R. is the kind of guy. If I see him at the NAMM show, I only see him once a year now because they're not hiring techs or anything like that anymore. David Foster, but. JR will see me, he'd be like, "Hey, Mike, what's up?" I mean, that's so huge.
Sure.
That was huge because he doesn't have to do that.
Right.
But there was a friendship that we had built. The people at Peisty America, Peisty Canada, it's family.
Yeah.
I feel that some of my musical family, and I hope my real family's not watching this, are almost closer than some of my real family. Some of my real family is still like, "Oh yeah, Mike's doing his drumming thing, hoping to become a rock star someday," which is not the case. It's not even close to the case. People don't understand where the people in my industry do understand. So I have to say a huge shout out to all those people, everyone at John Cameron Entertainment out in Edmonton, like the production crew, that is the most top-notch crew and band.
Yeah.
Period. And I've worked with Foster and those guys. So, but working with John Cameron and his crew, it's effortless.
Yeah.
It's effortless. Okay. But yeah, I'd say those are probably the ones that come to mind right off the.
Well, and another big part of your drum family, obviously, is Drumeo. Can you tell the story around how did that even come about that you guys got connected together?
Oh boy! Now, if you hear a sound that's, I'm just going to say this real quick. If you hear a sound that's tapping,
Yeah.
that is a woodpecker. And
Really?
apparently, I have conjured up or summoned a woodpecker by playing drums in this room.
There you
Just
go.
random interruption. Sorry,
Right,
but
it's fine.
I thought someone was working on the roof one day, and
Yeah.
I've seen this thing. And it
Wow.
wants to play. Yeah, it's really weird. Anyway,
He
so
wants to play the drums, right?
we're being interrupted by the woodpecker on the roof.
Is he on beat? That's what we want to know, right? Is he on the
He
2 and
needs
the
a
4?
more lessons. I think he's out here so we can get a couple more lessons with me. That's what we're all doing.
There you go.
Oh yeah, so drumming. Well, interesting. People don't know that Jared Falk was actually a part-time student of mine for a while. Okay, and I wish I remember how that came about. He might have got my name through somebody. Came and took some lessons on jazz and Latin, I believe it was. This is going back to the early 2000s. And then probably in 2007, I'm guessing at these dates, maybe 2006, Jared had approached me because he knew I was studying with Dom and Jim Chapin at the time with technique and another gentleman in Vancouver, a pipe band drummer named John Fisher, really to try to get my technique more refined because my technique was pretty bad. And he asked me to do a video for him called Boulder Method Secrets. And I was like, me? Like, why are you asking me? You gotta get Jim Chapin or Don. No, we want someone local. We just want to kind of keep it small and share. Yeah, I don't know if anybody will buy this thing, but yeah, nobody knows who I am. Who am I? Right? And so we did that, and it was quite successful because their marketing team was spectacular.
Yeah.
Like they're like, yeah, we sold like 1,000 in 2 weeks. I'm like, what? What?
Right.
And then it kind of branched off to that. So then we had done the jazz and the Latin drumming systems, right, which was really cool. But it was teaching the bare essentials of jazz into kind of an intermediate, higher level. And then the same with Latin, breaking down all the basic Latin beats out there for anybody who wants to get into that stuff. And then those were selling really well. And then we did a tuning video called Drum Tuning System,
Yes.
which was interesting. But it was like, maintenance on drums and obviously how to tune for rock and for jazz and all that. And I think that one sold quite well. And then in 2009 was the drumming system, and Jared sits me down and he says, okay, I got this idea. We're going to film a video with 15 play-along CDs and 21 DVDs and 5 books. And I'm like, are you mad?
Yeah, right.
Who's going to buy that? Who's going to want to listen to my voice for that long? Right? And so anyway, we filmed this thing, and that was, I think we were in the studio for like 10 days.
Wow.
Long, epic,
Yeah.
mind-blowing, kind of days. It was amazing. And then that just went crazy. They started selling out like nuts. And I think it was a couple years later, because drumming was about 4 years old now. I think they're coming for 5 years maybe. And he's like, we're starting this online lesson
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Involved? I'm like, yeah, of course I want to be involved. So I guess I was kind of like the first teacher to sort of sign up or to be signed up to do this. And then, we started getting some names together for some other local instructors. There was a bunch of instructors here in Vancouver. And we were kind of seeing as this was growing. And of course, as it's snowballing, you see him getting artists, Sonny Emery and,
Right.
and all these heavy cats are coming in. I'm like, whoa, what's going on? They're like, this is great. So that was a really, it's been a great relationship with that company because, Dave Atkinson is so great, Jared is so great, and all his entire crew. Like they got a crew of people up there that are so dedicated to the art of drumming and the art of education, which is so important, And so that's, it was kind of a long road. I've been sort of trailing along with those guys since 2006, but I've known Jared since about 2003. It's rough, quite a few years. Since he was a kid, now he's got kids. Like a kid, he was probably under 18, and now he's got kids, and it's really neat to see how, I'll call him a student of mine, even though I don't, because we probably only did a dozen lessons, maybe less, to see some of mine reach their goals.
Yeah.
With whatever, whether it's in the playing world or like Jared starting Drumeo and taking it to a whole humongous level, that's also inspiration for me.
Sure.
Because I look at that and go, wow, look what these people have done.
Yeah.
Like, I never look at someone and go, you'll never do it. That's just not it. That's not it. Because, if anybody has the dedication to do it and the motivation and the ability, why? Like for me, like I said, I just kept seeing what would happen, and snowball. The snowball grew, but then it stayed one size for a while and maybe get a little smaller. And then we go again. It's not like, wow, I have this mansion on a hill. That's not the case, right? But I don't have to worry about going and getting groceries and paying my rent and paying my
Right.
car payments because I have money to do that, right?
Absolutely.
But so yeah, the Drumeo guys are great, and I'm excited about the camps that we do with them, and each time we do a lesson, it's so much fun.
Yeah. Can we talk about the VIP camps that are coming up this year for you and Drumeo?
Yes.
Yeah.
Year 4. This is our 4th year of doing these camps.
Wow.
5-day intensives, right? We go Monday to Friday, 8 hours of solid drumming, and then there's a hang afterwards. We can all hang out. And this year they got a couple of great guest instructors coming in. So Pat Petrillo, a good friend of mine, and then Daniel Glass, who I got to know a couple years ago. Like, we're talking, these are world-class instructors.
Absolutely.
That I've known their names way before any online stuff or anything like that. And we're going to be in a room together chatting and teaching drums. And the thing that I'm excited about, I get to learn from these guys.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Because it's different perspectives, it's the history. I love Daniel's approach to the history of drumming and the history of drums. But you know what? The coolest thing is the students. The students and how they're motivated, like all ages. I think at like age 18 to 70. All these drummers in a room together, getting to know each other, playing, sweating.
Yeah.
Having some fun, having some moments where they're like, oh, brain fart, like, wait, don't worry about it, we got you, cool,
Right.
this, we'll go grab a coffee, we're all good. Those are so much fun. I look forward to those each year, and it's almost like when each camp is done, it's like, oh, no, I gotta wait a whole year. But
Right.
I believe we have 4 coming up in May, 4 different separate weeks, and
Wow.
it's a blast. Dave Atkinson and I, we head those up, and the guest instructors come in, and I think 1 week we have Aaron Edgar from Winnipeg, and then Jay Dakeman, a local instructor, who's once again been a friend of mine for many, many years. So we have a lot of fun. It's my job is fun. Like I don't know, I can't complain. Like
You get to play drums for a living, right? That's a pretty good gig.
my job is like, hey, it's like my hobby turned into my job, and my job is my hobby.
That's right.
So I don't need any other hobbies, I don't think.
That's right. That's pretty
Yeah,
good.
that's cool. The VIP stuff is amazing.
Yeah. It sounds awesome. And where can people go to check that out if they want to learn more about that, Mike?
Oh, Drumeo.com. So if you go to Drumeo.com, there'll be a list, and they're called the VIP weeks.
Okay.
I think a couple of them are sold out already.
Okay.
The best thing is to email them, support@Drumeo.com or Dave@Drumeo.com, and he can fill you in. I unfortunately don't do any of the booking for that stuff. I just show up with sticks and
That's
and
right.
a attitude, and we hang out and we play drums. So I don't do the booking side of things. But yeah.
And what else is coming up for you in 2017 that I know you mentioned the orchestra and the Santana tribute band. Can we talk about those things as well?
Yeah, so the Santana Tribute Band, we've been together for 4 years now, and it's with, 7 of my greatest friends. There's nothing better than being in a band with friends, because when the gig is over, we're still friends. You know what I mean? We're hanging out, and we're goofing around and telling dirty jokes and going getting to Starbucks and all that kind of stuff, right? We're finally getting busier. Now, the reason I say finally, because it's a little bit tricky to hire an 8-piece band in some places.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of budget. We really don't want to go play. The level of the musicians in this band is so high that we really don't want to play for nothing. But it's just a little trickier sometimes to get the budget for a big band like that, right? Unless you're working with a big production company, which we're not. But we're busy, which all of a sudden I'm getting these emails and saying, hey, we've got this gig and this weekend and that weekend, and I know I have to leave one of the VIP early, Friday afternoon, because I have to go to Vancouver Island and take a ferry to the island to go do a few shows there. But that's a fun gig, When our percussionist is sick or away, I can double on congas. There's some footage, I think, on YouTube or Instagram of me faking my way through conga playing. It's fun. Either way, that gig is fun. I do have a bit more fun on drums because my hands don't hurt the next day.
Sure.
But when we do, Kyle Radomski, he's another drum instructor.
Yes.
He fits in on the drums for us because he used to play in that band before me.
Cool.
So once again, great musicians, great people. A lot of fun. With the orchestra, that's a whole different thing. That's out in Edmonton, Canada. That's with John Cameron Entertainment. And John Cameron actually, he runs Keller Denelli Construction. He's a construction, right? He runs this big construction company. But music is his passion. So I've known John for about 10 years now. And we've been doing, it's all these corporate events, like fundraisers where they raise hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars, for needs. Like, I can't even tell you the amount of charities that we've worked for. Yeah, I've been working with John for quite a few years, so they fly me into Edmonton. We'll do a couple days of rehearsals, and it could be anywhere from an 18-piece orchestra with 10 singers to a 65-piece orchestra with 250-piece choir.
Wow.
So it's all big theater stuff,
Yeah.
big or very big stage. This season we've got 2 things coming up in June in Edmonton, and they are corporate events. Figure out how to get into that by going to johncameronentertainment.com, I believe.
Okay.
That's the website.
Yep.
And, the first one is going to be at the Windspear Center in Edmonton, which is with the Edmonton Symphony,
Wow.
which is fantastic. That's a rock gig. Like, we're doing a tribute to the piano greats, like to the pop piano greats. So I think
Nice.
it's Queen, Billy Joel, Elton John, somebody else. I haven't got the music for that yet, but that's going to be spectacular.
That's
and then
great.
2 weeks later, we're doing something, I believe, for a bunch of government officials in Alberta or something. I don't quite get the details till I'm there.
Yeah.
But it's the musicians in that group. I mean, even the smaller group, half of them were instructors of mine at that college I went to.
Wow. Wow.
That's so amazing
Yeah.
because they were instructors when I was a student.
Yes.
And now I'm trying to hold the fort together while these sax players and trumpet players, and we're talking the top A players, the top horn players, and the top, keyboard players, and everybody in that town. Players, they're just spectacular people and spectacular musicians,
Wow.
and it's so inspiring. Like, I mean, there's another inspiration for me. Like,
Sure.
when I get a call or an email about these gigs,
Yeah.
it's like my kids. So, and that's my excitement. I don't go, oh, great, another gig. I gotta
Right.
work on music. No, it's.
Yeah.
I just started busting, and I can't wait to start working on the music. So
That's awesome.
blast away.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I can see it. I can see the excitement. And are we talking about stuff like? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, and I was going to say, there's also a couple of Yamaha drum clinics. One not confirmed yet, but a couple of things happening probably April and May, which is good because I haven't done some clinics for a while, and I think we'll be doing some educational clinics.
Yeah.
It's not, hey, watch me chop out. It's going to be, hey, I want to teach people how to do stuff and open it up to questions.
Right.
Anyways, enough about me.
No. Yeah. Back to you now.
Back to you.
When you're doing the big band stuff, are we talking like Buddy Rich kind of stuff, Benny Goodman, or just anything in between?
No, it's arrangements of pop tunes.
Ah, okay.
Like, for example, we would do Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen,
Yeah.
Stairway to Heaven by Zeppelin, but the version that's done by, it's on YouTube, Heart, the girls from Heart. What are they, Nancy Wilson?
And Nancy Wilson, yes.
Yeah, watch that on YouTube. We do that version.
Wow.
It's unbelievable. Some big band stuff, like it depends on the vocal side of it. We've done some Sinatra, we've done Bublé, like the Bublé stuff. A lot of the arrangements are David Foster arrangements. William Ross is the arranger. I know his son Matt very well out of LA. And sometimes we do a lot of David Foster arrangements, which is great. So we get permission because John and David are very good friends. John Morgan. So it depends. It depends on the show, But the one coming up is going to be strictly rock.
Yeah.
So I get to break some drumsticks on this.
Right, there you go. Right. It sounds like a lot of fun.
There will be a lot of ding, ding, the ding. I don't think. I don't know.
Right. Well, you'll know that if it you'll know that too if that's what it's there, right? So
It depends on the show because we have such a variety of stuff. These musicians can play anything. It doesn't matter. We've done slow ballads all the way up to up tempo swing to Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds amazing.
That's awesome.
What's your warm-up preparation for when you're going out and doing a big gig like that? What sort of mindset, or is it kind of a nervous excitement? Are you just hanging, easy going? What's it like for you?
It's easy going and hanging, but it's also don't screw up. That's the way I look at it. Don't mess up.
Yeah.
And it's not like oh gosh, I'm going to mess up. I mean, nervousness is a good thing because being nervous just means you want to do your best.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, there's a different kind of nervous, like, oh, I'm nervous if this tiger is going to bite me if I put my hand through the stage. But that's not the kind of nervous we deal with.
Right.
It's like, okay, well, I got to go in there. I have a job.
Yeah.
This job needs to be done. Yeah. And I don't know. It's a mindset at that point. But I make sure that I get the music ahead of time, whether it's MP3s or the charts.
Okay.
Like, I over-prepared. I'm not one of those, or whatever. I like to make sure that I go in there so I can be relaxed.
Yeah.
So when people see me play, whether it's with a subbing for a gig or with a Santana tribute, they go, man, you look so relaxed. It's because I'm trying to be.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be, is this the song where those shots come up in the next? I can't be playing like that because that's a distraction to me.
Sure.
I think a lot of young musicians kind of overthink things.
Yeah.
Like, just know your parts. It's like an actor who doesn't need, they study the script and then they convince you on camera or on the TV because they're just that good at it. So there's a lot of prep time.
Mhm.
You know, I lose sleep. I don't get to bed late early some nights, and I'm up rather.
Yeah.
You know, middle of the night, I'll wake up going, "Oh man, I should probably look at that chart one more time because it was those weird things." So I'll be up at 3 in the morning, you know, and be like downstairs, cup of coffee,
Right.
studying. But then it sinks into my head, and the charts are still there. We're still reading because, especially for the rehearsals, the conductor likes to start on measure 85 for some reason sometimes. But
Okay.
let's start at measure 85. It's like, oh, so
Sure.
I can't know where measure 85.
Yeah. So obvious. So for drumming and teaching, obviously the ability to read is really important, right?
Well, for me, it is
Yeah.
because I was taught, like at an early age, that if you read, you're probably going to get more gigs. You'll be able to teach yourself out of books, and you'll probably be able to teach other people at some point. So I like the fact that it was like, hey, more things can happen if I learn to read, and it's a simple thing. I mean, it always shocks me when people say they don't want to learn how to read music. It's not like you're learning how to read a whole different dialect of Mandarin or something like that. I could find that maybe more challenging. But if I was moving to that part of the world, I probably would want to understand the language. So for me, it was really about trying to understand the language better. And I'm still always working on my reading. I'm trying to understand really challenging rhythms at fast tempos. That's really what I'm practicing nowadays. But no, working on the cruise ships back in the day was a really good example of that because my reading was so-so. And then after those 10 months, my reading was really good because you're doing it every day.
Yeah.
And you got to force yourself to do it. Otherwise, they'll send you home. And, but it got to the point where, we were doing a cycle of 6 days on the ships, and every fourth day there was the big production show where you'd have these 6 or 7 page charts.
Wow.
By week 5, week 6, I didn't need the charts anymore because it's all memorized. You know what I mean? So it's almost like you studied your lines, you studied your, like I say, your script, right? And then you just be, okay, I don't need the chart anymore. And I've seen a lot of drummers do that, where they can understand what's happening. So huge, massively huge, and it's a tool. It always kind of makes me raise an eyebrow when someone says, "Oh man, it's like I wish I could read like you." Well, you could. I want to sort of say, you could, but then I find that some of the guys in town might start taking some of my gigs. No, but it does surprise me sometimes when people make it sound like it's such a tool. To me, it's like getting my double bass at 300 beats per minute, 16ths, is far more hard to do than learning how to read a chart.
Yeah, that's hard, right?
And more time consuming too, right?
Right, yeah. Would you say that if we distilled it down of a young musician who comes to you, is that one of the top 2, 3, 4 things that a young musician needs to know is the ability to read? No,
I want to get them playing. The first thing that I want to do, and it doesn't matter the age, right? And I always say, because people, once again, they think reading music is going to stop them from doing what they're supposed to be doing. I'm trying to sort of break that cycle with a lot of students. And I'll say, I want you to buy one of my books, or I'll get a sheet of paper or whatever, write something out, and just say, look how easy this is. It's kind of like Lego building blocks. Like, you got the blocks, and you put these together, and you get that, right? You put the hi-hat with the bass drum, and you get thump with a, and they understand that to a point. But I've had some students say, yeah, I really don't even bring the books out. Let's just do this by ear. Fair enough. That's fair enough. I'm not going to discourage somebody by saying you have to read. There probably are some teachers out there who do enforce it, and that's great. But there's some students who may not quite adjust to that style of learning right away. Now, if I have a student saying, well, I want to get into Berkeley, or I want to get into the school band, or I want to be able to do studio work, well, okay, now we have to read. Sorry, you just basically said, you want to bake a cake? Well, we need to get it by an oven first of all. Okay, we stack that, and then we got to buy the ingredients, and then we got to get the recipe. So no, I don't force it on anybody. I encourage it, but I don't force it, because you force anybody to do anything that they don't want to do, the chance of them setting themselves up for failure, I don't like to use that word, but setting themselves up for it not happening are pretty high. Right. Yeah. And have fun.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's got to start with fun. There's no question, or people don't stick with it, right? So
exactly.
Yeah.